It's Cake Talk episode 9. Welcome. Let's just get started. I'm glad you're all here if you're here for the first time, and I'm glad you're back if you're here for your second or third or ninth time. That's great. Okay, so questions. Wow. Okay, let's get started. I have a question from Carly Howard on Instagram. How do you keep from getting discouraged if a cake doesn't turn out? I'm a new baker and sometimes my cakes don't turn out. Love you. Love you too, Carly. Yes, getting discouraged is really hard. And you will, and I still do. But I think that's part of the challenge is telling yourself you can do it and keep going, because cakes take a long time from start to finish. So sometimes halfway between you can get discouraged and think, is this going to turn out? I'm not sure. I thought it'd be like this. But you have to keep going, and you have to be able to think on your toes and to compromise if you need to. And make sure you always give yourself enough time, because there's nothing worse than getting to your deadline and feeling like you're not happy. It's always good to give yourself the time to change course or to fix things if something should go wrong. Okay, next. This is from Sophia S. on Instagram. Can you reuse fondant scraps? I love you. I love you too. Oh, and she agrees that I'm right that they need more emoji variety in the cake department. Absolutely. So absolutely, you can reuse fondant scraps. When you trim the extra fondant away from the edges of your cake, you should immediately knead it back together and keep it well wrapped in plastic. You don't want air to touch fondant. Fondant doesn't go bad in the sense that it rots or gets moldy. It goes bad from drying out. So if you leave it uncovered, exposed to the air for a long time, it will start to get a skin and it starts to get flaky and crusty. And then it's hard to knead back together because you'll have all these little hard bits in your fondant, which you don't want. So as soon as you trim away your excess fondant, you should always get in the habit of kneading it back together and wrapping it well in plastic and protect it from the open air. Okay, next. Here's a question from Aaliyah Perez. I love your name. I loved Aaliyah in the 90s. I love your name. I want to make American buttercream, but it always comes out too liquid. What do I do? Oh, I'm afraid I don't have a good answer for that. I'm an Italian meringue buttercream fan. I'm not the biggest fan of American buttercream. I'm sorry. I just, it's a little too close to icing for me. I prefer Italian meringue or Swiss meringue, which are smoother and less gritty and don't form a crust. So I actually haven't made American buttercream in years. So I don't think I'm the best person to ask. I'm so sorry. Try different recipes. Sometimes the recipe you try isn't the best recipe and it won't always work. I've tried tons of recipes that don't work. So be willing to try a new recipe. Okay. Next, this is from Jasmine Cooper Cornish. What's the best advice you would give to beginners? The best advice I'd give to beginners is please have patience. Cake decorating is very appealing to a lot of people because it looks like a lot of fun. It looks really cool, and it is fun and cool, but you need patience, and it takes a long time. And I don't think I'm helping the cause because my videos are generally under 15 minutes, and that's like a minute for every hour that it actually takes. It takes a long time. So have patience, give yourself the time, as I mentioned before, so that if you need a plan B, you can go to a plan B. Okay, next question. This is from Alice Rodart. I hope I said that right. Greetings from California. Greetings. I've been making cakes for a couple of years, and I love your videos. My questions are, how do you decide how much to charge for a cake? Do you have some sort of equation for figuring out the price? I try charging by the slice, but then I never know how much to tack on for detailed decorations. Yes, charging is tricky, especially if, like me, you make novelty cakes. I think when it comes to wedding cakes, there's often an equation, which is sort of by the slice, because wedding cakes are sort of set rounds or set squares, and then you know how much it can be cut into, and then you could charge like that. generally, the way I think about it is always keep in mind your cost. So your ingredients, because depending on where you live in the world, they could be a lot of money. I don't live in the cheapest city. So ingredients are pricey and people don't really realize how much butter costs or cream costs or chocolate and cocoa costs. They cost a lot of money. Always cover your ingredients. Always cover if you've bought like new tools or a new pan specifically for that. And then decide what your time is worth, because essentially that's what it is. And as a new cake decorator, that's the hardest part, because I would find that I would always underestimate my time. So I'd think to myself, this is going to take me 8 hours, and then it took me 12. So decide what your time is worth, like a regular job, and what you want to get paid for that time. And then if there's any extra details, like a really elaborate gum paste flower, you need to keep in mind how long that took you, because that's a job in itself, even before you get to making the cake. But as far as an equation, no, I don't really have a specific equation, because it's really hard with novelty cakes. And sometimes novelty cakes are more about the presentation and the show stopping, and they often don't even feed the number of people that at a party, because it's usually for like a birthday party, not a wedding where you would cut it and serve it to everyone. So make sure that you're covered on your costs, and make sure you pay yourself what you're worth in your time. And obviously the more experience you get, then technically the more you're worth. It's, you know, if you were a lawyer, if you were a first-year lawyer and you were a 20-year lawyer, they would get paid differently, and people would pay you based on your experience. And in this case, your experience is your talent. So I hope that's helpful. Next, this is from Fascia, I hope I said that right, on Instagram. Can I cover a cake with ganache and then buttercream? Love from Malaysia. Oh, I want to go to Malaysia. And at Gingerpest on Instagram wants to know the exact opposite thing. Can you cover, can you put ganache over buttercream? What a coinky dink. Okay, so to Fascia, I would say yes, buttercream over ganache would work. Because ganache is very, I don't want to say stiff, but it does sort of set around a cake. And then once that's set, you could probably put buttercream over it. Mind you, I've never done this, but it sounds delicious. But in reverse, I would say no, because the buttercream is softer. And like I said, the ganache is much more stiff. And I feel like as you were pulling that around your buttercream, it would start to actually lift your buttercream. So buttercream on top of ganache is a better bet. I've never done either, but in my opinion, that is a better bet and sounds delicious. If you try it, please let me know. Okay, number 6 is from at HM Safia on Instagram. I don't like too much buttercream and icing on cakes. Is there another alternative? Well, I think it depends maybe on what type of buttercream you're talking about. As discussed, I'm not really a fan of American buttercream. I'm sorry, Americans. I'm sorry. It's not against you at all. But American buttercream is a lot like icing. So it has an icing sugar base and can be sort of sweet. And I don't want to say gritty, but that icing sugar lends to the texture of it. Whereas a Swiss meringue or an Italian meringue don't have that kind of texture. They're much smoother and they're less sweet, which I really enjoy, and they take flavor really well. So if you really don't like sweet buttercream, you can add, coffee to it or something to even pare down the sweetness of it, or really, really dark chocolate to it. Yeah, I mean, all of the options are sweet. That's just the truth. Buttercream is sweet. American buttercream is sweet. Icing is sweet. Marzipan is sweet. Fondant is sweet. That's just the truth. I would say that ganache would be your best bet for the least sweet, because you can make it from dark chocolate and it's just chocolate and cream. There's no sugar in it. So that would be a way to pare down the sweetness, but still be able to ice a cake. So I hope you'll try that out. And that brings me to another question that I read before. Where is it? No. Hi. Oh, it's the next question. It's from Leah on Instagram. Hi, Yolanda. What's better to cover, a large or normal size cake with ganache, buttercream, fondant, or marzipan? P.S. Thank you so much for answering my question last week, and me and my sister were freaking out, and I love your cake so much. Thank you. Thank you, Leah. Well, I mean, they all have their own challenges, and they're all good, but they all have challenges. So with ganache, ganache tends to set up as your icing cake if your cake is chilled underneath. So that's its own sort of challenge. And also if you ice the cake in ganache and then chill it and your fridge is too cold, you might find that your ganache will actually start to bloom, which is where it gets sort of like white patches or gets a little discolored if you're using real chocolate in your ganache. So that's the challenge for ganache. Buttercream. If you make Italian or Swiss meringue, if you're off on temperature, then your buttercream can end up soupy. And if you make American buttercream, then it does form a crust. So you need to get it iced and let it sit and then not touch it after. Whereas when you use Italian or Swiss, you can always go, if you're unhappy with the way you iced, you can like chill it for a bit and then go back and do another coat, which is another thing I really like about it. Fondant or marzipan. Fondant and marzipan kind of offer the same challenges. Marzipan's a little greasier because it is made of nuts. So the natural oils in the nuts are there, but they both need to be rolled out and picked up and draped over a cake without cracking or breaking. It really just depends on what you're looking for. If you're just going, if you're just making a cake that you solely want to be delicious and all about flavor and has a simpler design or piping, you can go the ganache and buttercream route. If you are looking to turn that cake into something, then fondant or marzipan would be the better bet. Marzipan is, where I live, it's more expensive than fondant. And these days, people have a lot of allergies. So I actually don't even use marzipan, but I do think it's delicious. And it's also a flavor preference. A lot of people don't like marzipan, just like a lot of people don't like fondant. But the truth is, if the decor is the most important, then you have to do what's right. Okay, let me go back to the screen. Hello. Okay, this is from Jack Lombardo. Hi, Jack. Hey, Yolanda. I made your buttercream last week and it worked great, but I used it. But as I used it, it turned to liquid as I added the butter. Does this usually happen, or did I do something wrong? Okay. If your buttercream, so if the meringue part of your buttercream, which is the eggs and the liquid sugar, are not completely cool before you start to add your butter, it will turn to liquid. It has to be cool. When you put your hands on your mixer, you should just feel room temperature. You shouldn't feel heat at all, especially because you're adding the butter at room temperature. And another key thing is, sometimes that will happen. You'll add it and you'll see it go softer, but really, really keep whipping it. It doesn't come together instantly. It's like when you whip cream, it takes a while for that cream to thicken. So whip it, whip it, whip it, but make sure that your meringue mixture is cool. If it's hot, you'll add the butter and the butter will just melt. So you don't want heat in that. Actually, somebody on Instagram pointed out that she often takes a bowl of cold water and fits it under her mixer bowl. I couldn't do that. I'd have to take it off and then do that, but just to help it chill. But just have patience and let it lose all the heat before you add the butter. Good luck. Okay. Ooh, this is a good question from Vidya. Hi, Vidya. I don't think I know the scientific reason for this, but what's the difference between Dutch processed cocoa and the regular cocoa powder? Okay, so Dutch processed cocoa is much deeper and darker. I bake with Dutch processed cocoa. It's delicious. I use cocoa berry. It's deeper and darker. And I do know that scientifically there's some relation between Dutch processed cocoa and acid. So often when you make a cake that has like buttermilk or sour cream, it asks for that type of cocoa. Yeah, I wish I really knew the actual answer, but there is a difference. So if a recipe ever states clearly, usually a recipe will state clearly, use Dutch process or use regular cocoa. If one really makes a difference. But in general, flavor-wise, Dutch process is deeper and richer. Okay, next. Okay. Oh my God. Ha! Vidya, you're the only person who has asked me this. How How many cakes do you bake per day? Do you get time to sleep? Thank you. Actually, since starting, before I had a cake gate when I baked for clients, I would generally make 1 to 3 cakes per week because they're always due on the weekend. So very rarely has somebody ordered a cake for Tuesday afternoon. Very rarely. It's always somebody's getting married on the weekend, there's a bar mitzvah, there's a birthday party, there's an anniversary, but it's usually Saturday, Sunday, maybe Friday night. So I always have this weekend deadline that I work up to. And during the week, I do all the other things like color my fondant, make my buttercream, and make any details or gum paste accessories that have to go with it, and cover my cake board and all these kind of things. And then it's kind of crunch time when it's Thursday, Friday, doing everything, working long hours. And then on the weekend, I spend my time either tiering a cake or adding finishing touches that can't be in the fridge, and then delivering them. So it's really like cake decorators are married to their job. And I think people don't really realize that. They are married to their job, and that's the way it is. And since starting How to Cake It, I actually haven't taken many cake orders at all because I can't handle that between, you know, having a son and a family and filming and then doing all the planning to film. There's a lot that goes into it. Just for you to see, you know, a 15-minute video. There's actually so much, and I have a whole team. There's so much that goes into making a video once a week. So yes, okay, next. Okay, here's a question. Oh, this is great. This is from Adelicious. Hi, Yolanda. Love you and your videos. One question I have been meaning to ask you for a while, and here it goes. One thing that you would definitely not like to cake. Ha! Actually, there's been a fan request that I get often, and I think it's really weird. I'm sorry, but people have been asking me to cake myself. I think that is so weird. I'm sorry. What am I supposed to do? Cake and look in the mirror while I cake myself? It's just so weird. And I also think that people, you know, it's a flaw of people, but we don't see ourselves the way others see us. You know, we're the hardest on ourselves. So I really don't think I would enjoy caking myself. But I have thought of caking myself as like an emoji or like a cartoon animated version of myself. That I would do. That I think would be really cute. And making all these curls would take a long time, but I think I would do that. But like an actual sculpture of myself, I can't do it. I can't do it. If anyone else out there wants to cake me, you could do it and send me a picture. That would be great. I get a lot of great fan art, mostly drawings, and I love them. So imagine somebody wanted to cake me. It'd be so weird. Okay. Okay, next question. This is from Go Free to Go on Instagram. How do I keep fondant covered cake? How do I keep a fondant covered cake fresh? Can I just put it in the fridge? Won't the humidity melt up the surface? I am planning on recreating the brain cake. Yay! Thanks for answering. Love your videos. Okay. Fondant is a great protector of cakes. So that's amazing. And always putting simple syrup in your cakes before covering it in fondant is even better, because then that fondant protects your cake from the air, and that cake still stays really fresh and the moisture is locked inside. Regarding the fridge, I have a special fridge. I have a fridge that has been fixed so it's not very humid, and that's why I don't get the condensation that most people get on their fondant cakes. When I used to have just like a regular refrigerator made for houses, I would only use it for cakes, and I would turn the temperature or the setting completely down to the lowest setting. So it wasn't too humid, it wasn't too wet in the fridge, it was just cold, but the fondant stayed dry. So really knowing your own environment is what's important here, because another part of that is if it goes from a really cold fridge and then out to the heat, then it really, really sweats. I don't live in heat, unfortunately. So I don't have that problem as much as somebody else might. And if you make the brain cake, can you please put on Insta and tag me, because I really want to see it. And you don't have to do all that creepy makeup, just make the cake. Okay, Next, okay, let me see. What? Wow, this question confused me a little. This is from Uptown Girl 201 on Instagram. What would you choose? Making cakes forever and not being able to talk, or talking but not being able to make a cake? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. You know what? If you would have asked me this question 2 years ago, I would have said making cakes and not being able to talk. But now I think I have to choose talking, because if I couldn't talk to my son, that would really break my heart. So I'm glad this is just a rhetorical question. This is just for entertainment. So I hope that's a good answer. Next. Oh, this is from Tina on Instagram. Tina must follow me on Snapchat, because she has seen some behind the scenes things that she's asking me about that have not been put on YouTube yet. I've seen your Snapchat when you were making the Halloween spiderweb cake. I can't read today. Your ganache was thicker. Did you let it set longer and or use more chocolate? Yes, I actually, I used more chocolate. Normally I make ganache at a ratio of 1:1, so an equal amount of chocolate and equal amount of cream, especially if it's dark chocolate ganache. This time I didn't. I put double the chocolate to cream because I wanted it to be thick, and I actually did something else. I added some liquid food coloring to make it black, and I chose liquid on purpose because I actually wanted, the reason I added more chocolate and liquid food coloring is I wanted my ganache to be gritty, because my Halloween cake is supposed to look like a cake that you found somewhere in a creepy haunted house that's been sitting there forever and you still ate it. And I'm not going to give away any more. You'll have to wait for that video, but it was a lot of fun. And I had to wash my hands several times, and you'll find out why. Okay, next, blah, 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 12. Why am I saying to you? This is from Armand. Read me, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, I'm reading Armand on Instagram. Armand_P97. Hey, Yolanda, it's me, Armand, your #1 fan. Hi, my brother is also, but I'm mostly. So my question is, what is the most difficult, hardest thing that come with owning a bakery? Wow, well, I can't really answer that because I don't own a bakery and I never have. I have my kitchen and my studio where I make cakes for people. They're custom orders and they're made to order. So I don't own a bakery. The difference would, but I have worked in bakeries. And when I first started caking, I always worked in a bakery. So I worked in bakeries for about 8 years, 9 years. Owning a bakery is a lot like owning a restaurant. You're married to your business. And the difference between what I do and owning a bakery is, if you own a bakery and it's a physical shop and you have to pay rent, you need to sell other things to pay that rent. For you to just have a shop that only makes cakes, you would either need a ton of staff so you can make a lot of cakes and make it worth your while because they're so time consuming, and then you could sort of have a system. The bakery I worked at had a system, like somebody made all the fillings, somebody baked all the cakes, somebody just manned the ovens and had all these timers and checked all the cookies and cakes and everything that was in the oven. Somebody just answered the phones and took orders. So there's a lot going on, and you need to have other things going on in order to pay your rent. That's certainly the case in the city that I live in, where just Toronto, it's not very cheap, and so you would need other things going on. Whereas I love cake decorating. This might sound weird, but I'm not really like a business person in the sense that I want to sit at my office and run my bakery. I want my hands to be dirty with ganache and marshmallow and whatever, and I want to make the cakes. So that's what I do, and that's what I focus on. But owning a bakery is very difficult. And a lot like restaurants, there's things to take into consideration, like the cost of food and food waste and how much you need to buy to get enough of a discount. So there's a lot going on, which is why I don't own a bakery. and I strictly work on cakes. So I hope that was helpful. Okay, next. I don't see today. Okay. Okay, hey, oh no, hey Yolanda, oh, this is from Jennifer W. Hey Yolanda, I love your videos, but can you teach me how to make the perfect chocolate cake without using buttermilk? I absolutely can, because you can go to my website, howtocakeit.com, go to my blog, it says Yo's Recipes, and there's Yo-Yo's Ultimate Chocolate Cake, which has no buttermilk. Check it out. It does have Dutch processed cocoa. Check it out. It's my favorite chocolate cake. I've been making it for years, and over the years I've changed the recipe here and there, but it is my favorite chocolate cake, especially if you're sculpting a cake. It's moist and delicious, but still sturdy enough that it's not crumbly. So please try it and let me know if you like it. Okay. Oh, here's a question from Dahlia Chan. Hi, my twin sister. I always wanted a twin. And I love you so much. Is non-toxic glitter, craft glitter, safe for cake decorating? You are amazeballs. I love amazeballs. Thank you. And so funny. Oh no. It would mean the world to us if you gave us a shout out. I can't read today. I'm sorry. Hi, Carmen and Dahlia. Hi. I would say that non-toxic glitter is not safe for cake decorating, unless you're going to put it somewhere that nobody's going to attempt to eat. So if you're going to put it maybe on the cake board, or if you use it, maybe you glitter a ribbon and wrap that ribbon around the cake board, somewhere that nobody's going to attempt to eat. But the problem with glitter is it gets everywhere. I once got a gift wrapped in the most beautiful glitter paper, and I was picking glitter off my face and out of my hair for 2 weeks and off my carpet. So that's the problem with glitter. It really gets everywhere. So if you're going to put it near a cake, it's probably going to get on the cake. And you don't really want people to eat things that aren't edible. And because it's so small, they're probably going to assume that it's edible. It's not like, you know, a cake board or a dowel, which is pretty obvious that you're not going to try and eat it. Okay, why is Jocelyn texting me during cake talk? I better check. I hope it's not. Okay. Okay. Everything's good. Okay, let's see. Oh, let me go back to the screen. Oh, Vidya. Vidya is the best. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Yo. We are so thankful that you put so much effort to show us your amazing cake techniques. Thank you. You're welcome, Vidya. I always feel like I'm not saying enough or doing enough, or I don't know the correct scientific terms, like when I called this week the brain twirlies. But really, I only study cake, and sometimes I have to study the things I'm trying to make out of cake. But I don't have enough time to study them in depth. So I hope that I am being helpful to everybody, and I hope you enjoy Cake Talk, and let me know how you like Cake Talk, because I'm always overwhelmed, A, by technology, and B, by the amount of questions that I can't possibly answer. Okay, here we go. This is from Stephen Burns. How do you know how much frosting to make for each cake? On a couple of occasions, I've run out of frosting, which makes it incredibly difficult, especially when the frosting is tinted a certain color. Love from Jersey. Hi, Stephen. Yeah, that's really tricky. And I find early on, I would always miscalculate. My Italian meringue buttercream makes about 6 cups in a recipe. So my feeling, especially when something is colored or tinted, always make more. That is just my feeling, because I mean, with me, it's usually fondant, and you'll never get that color again. Even if you're only adding 1 food coloring, even if you're only making pink and you're adding a little bit of pink, it's so hard to get the same tone again, especially if you pre-colored it and that color had time to saturate. It can often look different than when you immediately color it. So I always say make a little bit more. In fact, when I do my blogs on howtocakeit.com and I give you like the fondant measurement, I always put more in the list than I actually used, because better for you to have a little bit of fondant left to play with, or a little bit of frosting left to make some cupcakes for your friends, and then they'll keep being your friends forever, than for you to run out and feel frustrated and feel like I need to make another batch and color it the same color. It's all going to be in the same place. That's very stressful. So often, you know, my recipes will say you need 1 batch of my Italian meringue buttercream, but you actually need less than that. But just make a batch because it freezes well. And yeah, that's my best advice. Okay, here we go. Oh, this is from Vidya. When you say chill your cake, do you put it in the freezer or the refrigerator? I put it in the refrigerator. I actually only have a refrigerator in my kitchen. So that big stainless steel giant box you see me walk to, and you see my Crocs. That's a fridge. Actually, I want to address my Crocs because some people have been making fun of my Crocs in my videos. And I actually always ask Chet, the guy behind the camera, not to focus on my Crocs, but they've made it in. And people are making fun of my Crocs. And I feel upset because Crocs are comfortable and non-slip, and they have air conditioning. And if I drop buttercream or ganache on my Crocs, I can just wash my Crocs. Crocs have been good to me. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Okay, I'm gonna answer one more question, and then I have to get filming today, filming a new video. So here we go. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Oh, here we go. Here's Kika Van Villay. Kika. Do you also like mug cakes? I actually make my own version of mug cakes where I don't make a batter in the mug and then bake it in the microwave. I use my cake scraps and my extra buttercream and whatever other elements are in the cake, and I build a cake in a mug. Yes, I did one for Halloween. I did one, what did I do that on? Father's Day, Cafe au lait. I just did one for Halloween that you guys are gonna see, and I plan to really keep doing that. That's my version. That's Yo's mug cake. So I hope you'll try it. It's a delicious snack. It's a good way not to throw out scraps. It's a good dessert. Okay, so I hope everybody has liked or enjoyed Cake Talk this week. The next Cake Talk is October 22nd. Yay! So I hope you'll be back. I'm sorry if I didn't answer your questions. There are so many. Oh, I have to answer this. Sorry, it's going on. Hello, Yo. This is from Vika Moon. Just wanted to tell you that you're a very lovely person. Oh, and 2 questions. Where is your father from? I mean, which city and region in Germany? And second question, would you talk some German for us? Okay, my father is from Wehr, Germany, which is a really small town. The closest big city is Freiburg. Actually, when I fly there to visit my family, I actually fly to Basel, Switzerland, and then drive to Wehr because that is closer. And I can't speak German more than I spoke in the video. So, guten Morgen, and thanks for coming, danke, and I will see you all October 22nd. Bye!